Good morning. Woohoo! Woohoo! It's a sunny day. Summer is officially here. We declare it. We're going to declare it right here that summer has just started. The weather is decent. Thank you for being here. Good to see a lot of faces here. See it filled up. Nice to see the in-person. We've got lots of things on the agenda, as we always do. Erica will be joining a week from Monday. Man, the time is flying by. And I had a conversation with her yesterday, and I can just tell you that she's just a delightful, quality person. Somebody who I would like to work for. So that's an endorsement. That's an endorsement. I mean, here's a collaborative person who really wants to make it work for everyone. And I thought, wow, this is a good fit for Horizon House. So I'm excited, and I think you are all going to be excited as well. Before we kind of get into the regular agenda, and let's see if I can advance this screen. Whoops. Yeah, you can see I got this down. I've only been here 10 years, so it's not like I should be able to do this. Before we get into the full agenda, I won't read all the items. I just want to mention we had what I thought was a really good session yesterday with the west-facing Central Tower folks. We had Christy had a part in it. The construction group, Anderson, had a role in it, and Methuen. And what we did there, and we'll be sharing this with the community at large, but we wanted to give those people the first opportunity to see it, is we talked about the what this building looks like when it gets built. And where is the noise, and where are the issues and the challenges. And so we walked people through how that looks when the West Tower building begins to come up. And we also showed, we had to realistically project what is the view going to be. And so that we showed examples of the fourth floor, the like 8th or 9th floor, like the 17th floor, from different angles of the D stack apartments and the E stack apartments, so that people could understand what was actually happening to their view. And it wasn't as if this was a surprise, right? Because when you have a building that is going up in front of you, your view is going to be blocked. But I think that people, as they saw that, realize, okay, there were still some angles where there was some view, but let's not kid ourselves. There is a view loss, and we are doing certain things to give people options that if they just don't want to be in that building when it comes up or when it is all done, that we have options where people can move to other places within Horizon House and or stay where they are and have some compensation for the adjustment of the loss of view. So we are trying to work that out. No community that I know of would be willing to kind of go to that extra effort. And that's what we do here, and that's what we're going to do. So I thought it was a constructive conversation. Each person got an envelope that they detailed their specifics and their choices, so they can noodle on that a little bit and then get together again with Christy and work out the details. So we're stepping forward not only with the West Wing residents, but now with the Central Tower west-facing residents also. So without any more comments there, we'll jump right into the staff introductions, and Celerina is right there coming up. All right.
Hello, everyone. Good to see all your beautiful faces. All right. So just before I go to the next slide, I do want to let you all know, so I'll be announcing the new hires for June for the next Fireside chat. And the reason being is we had one person come yesterday. I was supposed to have a couple of more, but they had to reschedule, and they don't reschedule and they don't come till next week. So I figured I'd just compile them all together for July. But I do still have some announcements to share with you. All right. If you all utilize the garage at all, you probably have seen Kittis before. He is our parking garage attendant. Also, he will be stepping in to assist us as a shuttle driver. So if you all are using the shuttle services at all, he'll be doing dual roles, all while still attending school. And then Laura came to us July 2022. And she stepped in as a housekeeper for EVS. And now Laura will be separating from EVS today, but she stepped into her position as a full-time server with food services while being a full-time student at the University of Washington. So we thank Kiddis and we thank Laura for continuing their education while working here at Horizon House. And this is something new I wanted to introduce to all of you. We have all these wonderful employees who spend years working here, and we all present to them awards and certificates when their milestone anniversaries come about. But what we noticed is we didn't share that with you all. So I figured I'd start sharing that with you all. I think you all want to know whose anniversaries are coming up, how long they've been here. Now, I won't bore you with every single anniversary because we'd be here for a while. But what I will do is I'll focus on the milestone anniversaries, starting with June, and then we'll continue that moving forward. All right, so Artie. Artie works as our security officer, sometimes working overnight, but he also steps in to help out in the garage as well. Artie started with Horizon House June 19, 2023, and Artie just celebrated 20 years with Horizon House. That is amazing. And I think you all know Risa. Risa started with us June 5th, 2023, and Risa is our purchasing assistant. I don't know if you all walk around this building and you see Risa pushing that cart, getting stuff loaded, doing the auditing, counting to make sure we got everything that we ordered, and then making sure that we reorder, restock. She is the person that makes sure Horizon House has everything that it needs. And Risa also celebrated 20 years. And Van. So I see my typo. Van's title, I put server. And that's what happens when you move too fast and you don't proofread and you don't edit. So I caught my mistake. Van is actually our dishwasher. And Van, every time I go back in that kitchen, is working tremendously hard. And Van had started with us June 3rd, 2018, and just celebrated 5 years. And then we have Nardos. Nardos is working in assisted living. She is an elder care LPN. And Nardos started with us June 18th, 2018, and also is celebrating 5 years. So I hope if you see any of their faces around that you tell them congratulations and you thank them for the years of service that they've committed to Horizon House. And then I have one more announcement for you all. So as you all may or may not have known, HR has been going through some changes for the past couple of months. And I'm happy to announce that beginning July 10th, Brenda Thompson will be returning to Horizon House as our HR director. So if you all see Brenda around, tell her welcome back and welcome to Horizon House. And now I get the pleasure of bringing up Valerie so she can introduce our new residents. Thank you.
Thanks, Lorena. Good morning. We only have one person to introduce today, but I promise we have been staying busy and we'll have more next month. You guys are laughing like you don't believe we've been busy. Miss Priscilla Ware. Priscilla War. I'm sorry, friend. Priscilla War. Priscilla was born in Seattle and has also lived in California, Minnesota, and Australia, where she recently relocated back from. She attended John Muir Elementary, Helen Bush School, Stanford University, and the Royal Melbourne Institute of Technology. Priscilla worked as a librarian and volunteered on bush regeneration and creek regeneration, which she remains interested in, along with Japanese theater, art, and literature. You'll fit right in. Welcome to Horizon House, Priscilla. And it is my pleasure to introduce Brian Holtz with an operations update.
Thank you, Valerie. Welcome, Priscilla. And Valerie's right. I've been seeing kind of behind the curtain. Sales has been very busy. You don't all see all the activity they have until we have a lovely new resident to introduce, but sales has been very busy for us in the community. So I wanted to give some updates on operations, and I have been talking about elevators for several months. And as promised, we do have some scheduled repairs that we're doing. I know Sean has been putting notices on the elevators that are impacted rather than trying to do a huge summary of everything, but I just wanted to provide an overview for you that that starting next week, we'll be working on elevators 8, 9, and 10, and each of those should only be down for several hours. And so as we know, with mechanical and the complexities of the elevators, we have a plan for them being down for that long. However, these are just minor adjustments for those elevators. And I skipped the first bullet, but mid-July through early August, what we'll be doing is going to each elevator one at a time and making some adjustments to the doors and making some improvements to make them more reliable for us and to make it so that you can count on them. Early August, elevator 10 will be going down over here in the North Tower. We anticipate that from Otis, our technicians for that only to be a couple of days, but these are some additional upgrades and adjustments that we're doing for dependability. And then as we saw, elevator 2 has been down, thank you for your patience, for such an extended period of time because we were waiting on some cables and ropes and things like that. And then the installation took a couple weeks. Elevator 1, we ordered those parts long ago because I've been talking about it for a while. And so elevator 1 in mid-August will come down for several weeks as we make those upgrades and improvements to those elevators. Again, we want to be very transparent and thanking you for your patience on the elevators. I would say that with Otis, the unexpected outages that you've been experiencing has decreased tremendously from what we had last year, from what we're seeing from our calls. And that's what we were hoping to see. And we appreciate your patience as we work on these elevators and make these improvements. Next topic I want to talk about is the Community Health Task Force, which we used to have the COVID task force. And so we are now looking at holistically other topics aside from COVID. Now, thankfully, we have more distance between us and COVID. And one of the things as a reminder was calling 911. And so if we ever encounter or have a medical emergency, we want you or staff or anybody just to call 911 immediately so we don't have a delay of perhaps calling the reception center and having the reception center call on behalf of that medical emergency. We ask staff to call 911 and then radio the reception center with the two-way radio. We don't want there to be a delay if we experience any kind of medical emergency. However, we do request after that call is made to inform the reception center so that we can have staff meet the responders in the lobby, perhaps hold the elevators as needed so that we can get the EMTs or the first responders to the location as rapidly as possible. So those are reminders that we provide periodically that the Community Health Task Force wanted to bring up as well. Well, as we've seen down in the South, especially in Texas, they've been unfortunately experiencing some excessive heat. And we're going to have what we would say beautiful weather for us today, and it's going to be going on for some time. But we may have excessive heat that can come to our region. And so some reminders for us to stay healthy and to protect ourselves against very hot temperatures is the reminders on the screen that we have shared before, that we will again if we get into an excessive heat warning, is to spend more time in air-conditioned places, keep your windows closed, cover the windows that receive direct morning or afternoon sun, dress in lightweight clothing appropriate for the weather, If it gets super hot for you, cool down with a shower or a washcloth. And as you always do, be a good neighbor. Check on your neighbors as needed. That's one thing about this community is we look out for each other. And remember to stay hydrated, drink plenty of water. I know I'm guilty. I drink coffee often. I need to check that during certain times of excessive heat. We like a glass of wine perhaps, but it's not advisable when it's super hot, and avoid that chocolate that we enjoy so much. And have water with you and stay hydrated, and don't wait until you get thirsty. Limit your time in direct sunlight and avoid and reduce activities that may be an exertion for you, especially in the heat of the day. Do those in the early morning or in the evening. And I know I am reminded often to put sunblock on, so I'll remind all of you to remember to put your sunblock on to protect yourself, and be cool out there and hang out in the shade. And, you know, heat stroke and heat exhaustion can happen. So recognize if things aren't feeling well, as shown on the screen, cramps and weakness and dizziness, nausea and vomiting, to recognize that and seek attention and help as needed. Another thing that our neighbors to the north are experiencing, unfortunately, in Canada is the wildfire that you've heard about. And we've had that in our region as well. So that's something that may be a factor for us to take into consideration as the warmer months and the wildfire season is upon us. And so the air quality index, or AQI, is how we measure that. And it's a yardstick that has a range from 0 to 500. And the higher the value, the greater level of air pollution and health concerns that we may have. And so when those outdoor air level qualities change due to wildfire smoke, we must all take precautions. So I mentioned previously that, as we know, there's some fires, or you may have not heard, but there are some wildfires in Canada that are impacting parts of the east. The air quality this morning, I checked on the airnow.gov website that I use to check for the AQI. In Seattle right now, 16. That's excellent. We have excellent air quality today. However, if we go to Washington, D.C., based on the smoke, it's at 124. If we go to New York City, it's 169. So it's very dangerous in those areas. And so the good news is, when you're in Horizon House indoors during the AQI raising to an unhealthy, all of our air is filtered and that it's safe inside our building. And so when the outdoor air quality becomes unhealthy, like the graphic on the screen in the orange, where we saw unhealthy for Washington, D.C., is actually the unhealthy for sensitive groups at 124. New York City right now is at 169. So that is definitely in that unhealthy range. And so it's important that we keep all of our windows closed when our community and our region gets there. You're running your air conditioning, they have filters as well. And we want to, if we're going to go outdoors, that we need to do less strenuous activities and shorten that time outdoor and wait until the air quality improves. And we should and must wear an N95 or KN95 masks if we're going to go outside. The good news is, now that we do have a little bit of distance between us and COVID, we do have masks that we can provide residents if we get to this unhealthy place. So if we get to that point, there will be communications about how to obtain the mask if you don't have one, and that we want you to take these steps to stay healthy. So thankfully, we haven't had the excessive heat. We haven't had the air quality concerns, but the Community Health Task Force wants to provide these reminders for you that it could be something that comes in the future for us this summer. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Brian Levitt, who has innovation. Oh, question? We'll have a microphone from Risa.
I would like to know specifically, if I needed to call 911 from the pool deck, do I have to dial 9911 to get out? Are the phones around here 911, or do you have to dial 9 to get an outline and then dial 911?
911's fine.
Thank you.
Yep. If you didn't hear the question, do I need to dial 9 first before 911? And 911 is appropriate.
The Horizon House air conditioners seem to be turned very high. It is quite cool, almost to being cold in many spots. Today in here, it's okay, but out in the fireside lounge and in the halls, it is often very, very cold.
Okay, thank you. We'll take a look at that. We have a mixture of what's comfortable for folks and we try to find a balance by balancing the air, but we'll take a look at that. Yes.
In your list of symptoms of dehydration, I think you didn't add fainting. I may not have seen it,
Okay.
but that's another, I experienced it, so that's
Oh my
another
goodness,
very
I'm so-
dangerous symptom.
So I'm sorry that happened. Another symptom that I may have missed is fainting from heat stroke. So we want to keep an eye on each other for that. Well, thank you very much. Brian from Innovation and Technology has some information for us that we definitely want to hear.
Good morning, and may I wish everyone a happy Pride. I have my rainbow thing today. So I want to talk today about a change that we're going to be doing with our Wi-Fi system. So I just wanted to give an overview of what's going to be happening over the next couple months. There it goes. So we're introducing a new system called Wi-Fi Personal Networks. And we're going to be doing this in July and August, and actually in through September, where we'll be transitioning away from the Horizon residents that people are using today to a new network. Now, the big difference is that we're going to be getting rid of splash access. So what happens now when you have a device on our network, you have to register it with this system called Splash Access, which is in London. And when you register your device, it connects back to our network, tells our network that it's your device, it's okay to register, and then it makes some changes on our network and applies some security. It's kind of complicated and slow, and we found that throughout the last couple of years we've been running it, it's just not providing a great experience when people have devices. It also limits the number of devices people can have. I know at least one person has run into this limit. So, but as we get more devices, we want to make it easier for people to connect. So the new system, which is called Wi-Fi Personal Networks, works a lot more like the network you would experience almost anywhere else in a home. So, so we alleviate a lot of the problems of connecting special devices. It just really is a one thing that works. So how does it work? Well, what's going to happen, each department will get assigned a unique key or a special passcode that they can use for connecting their devices. All the devices that use that same code are able to work together and see each other. So your computer can see your printer, and your speaker, smart speaker can see your music library. And it maintains security. So all those devices together are secure with each other like they are today, but without having to go through all the extra steps of getting them registered and calling IT and figuring out. So if you buy a new computer and you have your key written down, all you need to do is add the connect to Wi-Fi with that key and you're good to go. Doesn't necessarily have to involve IT, though we're very happy to help. So when is this going to happen? In early July, we're working with Cerium Networks, which is a professional services company we use for our networking. They're going to help us get all the infrastructure ready. In mid-July, we'll have the new network available to people, and we'll send out some instructions and information about how to connect to it. We'll be looking for some people that want to be early adopters and give it a try. And then in late July, we'll be working with people to help them transition over. So we might be recruiting some extra volunteers to help other people that might need a hand. The team is available to help. So we'll be scheduling time to help people that need help moving to the new Wi-Fi network transitioned over. So hopefully it will be a very smooth transition for people. And that's all I have for Wi-Fi. I think there's one question there. Risa's coming.
If you're in the Fireside chat with your tablet, how does it connect? I mean, if it's specific to each apartment and you're at other parts, you're in other parts of the building and you want to be connected, does the tablet take that connection with it? Okay, thanks.
Yeah, your connection works the same way wherever you are in the building with your credential. Yes. Okay, and next is Joan. Oh,
If we have a Mac and a PC computer,
Mhm.
will the printer automatically connect to both of those devices?
well, they'll all work together, but whatever, you would still need to do whatever connections needed by the printer to make it work, but they will all be able to talk to each other.
Okay, thank you.
It's me. I think we were going to have a video, but we're unable to play that for some other reasons. So we're going to move on to the next section. Philanthropy updates. Oh, Patty.
I'm wearing my pink for Partners in Caring. I guess I need to get to the microphone, although you can hear me. Karen's not here today, but I said, I'll hold the fort. So here we go. Just a reminder, we have received just over $325,000 so far in gifts and pledges. And I'd like to remind you of the three things, let me talk a little bit about those pledges. That money goes into the endowment fund. It is the interest from that fund that we use to support various philanthropy things. It's the interest from that fund. And do y'all remember the main thing the fund supports? Aha. Residence assistance, right? It's for those residents that are here that through no fault of their own have run out of money. And that's the main thing the fund supports. But then it supports some other things too. It supports staff scholarships. We were just told about Laura Celine, who is going to be working as a server now. Her picture was up before. She has one of the staff scholarships through her father, who works in the garage. So she's getting money to go to school right now, which is great. And the last thing, enrichment grants. So all three of those things are supported by your supporting. Right now, we have our goal. We have 325,000. Our goal is 460,000, but it's a year-long campaign. So we urge you to keep donating. Also, you get an ice cream social on July 13th. Don't forget, down in Parkview Lounge and Terrace, there will be an ice cream social. You do not have to wear Hawaiian things. Maybe we can find some grass skirts around. Charlene wanted to remind you of the ways that you can contribute to the Partners in Caring Fund. Check, cash, credit card, refundable contract, not sure about that. Stock transfers, donor advised funds, this is getting very specific. Memorial or tribute, a gift to honor someone special. And also IRA required minimum distributions. And I said, I know all about that. It turns out that for years, I was saving money in my IRA because I might need it sometime. Well, I'm over 71 and a half. So all of a sudden, Schwab is telling me I've got to take a certain amount out each year, my required minimum distribution. Well, the first year they said that, I didn't need that money for anything, so I just put it in savings. Big mistake.
First of all, they took out a huge glunk of that to pay taxes. So not all of that money I was required to put into my savings, or that I did, went into savings. And then I was hit with a double whammy. It turns out that increased my adjusted gross revenue. So when I pay my taxes, Medicare wanted more money from me. And I just put it in savings. Well, I like to contribute to charities anyway. And it turns out, if you just give that money to charity, the government doesn't get its first hunk. And also, it doesn't increase your adjusted gross income. So things are good. And I've started doing that. I was telling Charlene, I do that all the time because I think it's a win-win situation. The only thing about it, if you don't need that money, and if you contribute to charity anyway, you can give them more by doing it through required minimum distribution. It has to be done a certain way though. And I would advise you to contact your financial institution. My institution gave me a series of checks, and I just send them directly to the to the charity. It doesn't go through anything. It has to go directly to the charity, and it has to be an approved charity. So if you did it for Partners in Caring, you would just make it payable to Horizon House Partners in Caring, or PIC. And if you have any questions about that, Charlene and Ruth Ann would be more than willing to help you out. They are just great. They always love to have people come by and talk to them. And what is my next one? Thank you. Oops, too many, sorry. Whether your gift is large or small, it matters. It really does. And again, reach out to Charlene and Ruth Ann. And thank you guys very much. And sorry, I'm going too far. Deanna.
Good morning, everyone. I'm here on behalf of the Residents Council. You heard a lot of good news today. I'm going to tell you about something that fizzled. So at the May meeting, I announced that we were going to try to set up a resident-to-resident service whereby people would volunteer to pick up their neighbors if they needed to come home from a procedure at a hospital that required an escort. And, the resident council thought it was a great idea, and lots of residents thought it was a great idea. So we advertised in the alert, and Will Fowler was working on that. And he got many, many calls saying, this is really a great idea, but he didn't get any volunteers. So we got 2 volunteers, me and May Gerstel, both from the resident council, and that was it. So apparently people like the idea, but nobody's willing to drive. So I think we're going to abandon that idea. And I'm sorry to say that. A couple of months ago, I talked to Erica Campbell about this particular problem, and she suggested Can Do as a solution. We wanted to try neighbor to neighbor first. Since it didn't work, I'm going to advise you, if you need the service, to call Can Do. They're listed on HH Connect under Wellbeing Indirect Health Services, or you can also make an appointment with the concierge for Can Do. And we're sorry it didn't work out, but there is a solution. Can Do will do it. Any questions? Okay, thank you. And next. Mike.
I'm back. Okay, let's see here. So a couple of things. One is Patty is a great salesperson. What I like about Patty Flowers is she's so subtle. I kind of took away from that. If you just send all your money to Horizon House, you don't have to pay the IRS. How can you beat that? Wow, a tax dodge. I love it. Patty, there's a future for you. Also on the smoke, that is like no joke, right? This smoke, we're lucky right now. We're not getting all these fires from, but we had in the past, right? So I was listening on the news on the way home yesterday that if you're in that 165-ish range, it's like the smoke particulates. It's like smoking a pack of cigarettes in a day. Okay, so that puts perspective on the health issue. And I think that, well, hopefully we won't have that issue here, but you don't know. You got to wear the mask. You got to kind of stay indoors. Make sure that you are not exposing yourself to that smoke. And especially for people who have any kind of a lung issue or any other kind of pulmonary type issues, you just don't want to be out in that stuff. And it's just a very different time, right? Certainly in my growing up here in the Northwest, this was just a non-issue, and now it is a real issue. So for all the climate change deniers, take note. Brenda Thompson, as you heard, is coming back as our HR director, and she starts July 10th. So she's going to be going through her kind of introduction again to Horizon House along with Erica. And this is really great news. I've experienced in my career that when somebody leaves the organization on a positive note for other opportunities, and for whatever reason, those opportunities don't materialize quite as they planned and they come back, they are a higher quality staff member, because they have now seen and witnessed something on the other side. And however green that pasture was, they either had to mow it too often or it wasn't all that green in the first place. And then coming back here, they have a different perspective and orientation. I think that's great. We're really happy to have her come back. I also wanted to mention that we sent out I think it went out last night, a memo, and it was talking about some organizational changes, and we'll have more time to talk more about this. When we make adjustments or changes, we need to discuss it over periods of time, not just on a single memo or a single fireside chat or whatever. But just to kind of give you a little bit of the heads up on what the thinking is there kind of three components to it. One is that as Erica comes on board, she's going to really have to be focused on getting to know and to understand residents and be able to spend time understanding who we are so that her decision-making process can be in the context of a good understanding of Horizon House. And in order to do that, coupled with having to manage a West Tower project, which is a really big project and a complicated thing that will consume her time, we're shrinking the span of control a little bit. So the technology function that reports into me, the CEO now, as well as the refurbishment and construction, Eli's area, so Brian Levitz and Eli's area, are now going to report into Christy. Christy already works closely with them, maybe more so on the construction than on IT, but it's not uncommon for IT to be a part of a CFO function. The reality is we all collaborate and work well together. This is not really so much a hierarchy as it is to just kind of take a little bit of that pressure off of Erica when she gets here. And then if she decides at a later date she wants a different structure, then so be it. She'll have her own logic. The other thing that we are doing, and it relates again to the video maybe that we were going to show here, that we are going to show, I'll talk about that in a second, that we've had the technology challenges. I mean, these are as vexing as the elevators, right? I mean, these are the two banes of our existence. Getting technology, and it's not, I have to be careful about saying technology. It's not really the technology so much as it's not our systems. It's just that we have so many things that have to connect in so many different ways across different platforms that we need some expertise that we have not been able to, haven't had in the past. So we are looking for an audio-visual technical person who also has production capability. What you may not know is that when things are being created for Horizon House, there's a lot of editing, just like you would at a TV station or a movie that needs editing. We need the editing capability and we need the technical capability to help us make sure these things can work across a lot of platforms. Most senior living communities do not have the complexity. And in order for us to meet the needs of how you want to digest programming, we have multiple platforms. I often will get, well, why don't you just get somebody in here who can just fix this? Oh yeah, okay, we'll just do that. It's not that easy, but we do know we need to have that expertise. And so we're going to hire for that. The bigger thing that we are changing is, and you may not all feel this way, but we feel that especially with COVID, our standards of kind of customer service, we kind of let go of throughout all of our departments. Nobody's to blame here. It's just, we have become lax on some standards, whether it's a dress code, whether it's how we greet people, how we follow up, how we agree to solve a problem and circle back around to make sure that problem was solved. We've kind of lost a little bit of that focus. And we've tried over the years to kind of improve this. And sometimes we did, sometimes we didn't. We feel like we need to have somebody who is going to help us establish, with the involvement of residents and residents council, plus our own staff, standards of service that meet your expectation. And that we document these things, we train to these things, and that we evaluate performance based on these things. And this would be something that is organization-wide, so that I know you don't like the word customer, and I get it, but essentially it is a customer service standards that we want to adhere to that is commensurate with what you expect. And we want to be consistent, and we want it to work, and that you know what to expect, and we deliver on it. We need some outside help to do it. All the team that I work with, we're not experts in that. And it's more of a science than it is just a, hey, I know customer service or whatever because I shop. Well, yeah, maybe I know that, but I don't know enough of it. So we want to have a new position. It's called a director of resident experience. And that person is going to be focused on helping to establish the standards, help to train to the standards, and help us to manage to those standards, with input from residents council, and whomever, so that we're in sync with what you expect and that we deliver on that. And then the other part of that is this person will also oversee that reception area, which includes the concierge, the resident services, the concierge, and a couple of other functions in that line. So that person will oversee that. Risa's role will still remain in making sure that we're getting our program scheduled, that the setups are right, and so on. But we'll have another person in this mix who we are going to work with to establish a different level of standards. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. These are a couple of positions that are very difficult to fill. So it's not like this happens overnight. It will take us some time to do this, but we think this is a good direction. And we'll talk more about that. So let's see what else. Okay, now on to just more fun stuff. The First Hill Farmers Market is back, returning on the 9th, to 9th Avenue, starting on July 7th, and the 10 to 2. So hopefully there'll be lots of fun things there, getting back to a little bit of normalcy. The Horizon House Parade, Pride Parade today at 3 p.m. It's our second annual staff and resident Pride Parade. This is a big deal because, we're seeing around the country where somehow it is now okay to be discriminatory and to put people down. And we as an organization have been ones that don't want to be putting people down. We want to lift people up. And this is a great opportunity to do just that. So we want you to join in as a participant or a spectator, and it gets going in the Fireside Lounge at around 3:30. And some of it will be on the outside. So we're going to kind of make this a little festival-ish, and we encourage you to participate. And then following that, now we get into the good stuff. There's going to be a happy hour. And I think pretty much everybody likes a happy hour. So 4 p.m. in the bistro, you get your first beer or wine on the house. And then followed by our regular terrace buffet dinner at 5 p.m. Okay, now, so we had the AL Pride events, the Rainbow Bingo. This was up in assisted living. Drag shows, which, who knew that this was going to be like the big crisis in the country? Well, we're not outlawing them here. And it's fun, and we're not assigning any big, whatever to it. It's just plain fun and enjoyable. Residents like it, and hopefully it's something that you appreciate as well. some other AL bright spots, assisted living and life enrichment. We got a bulletin board in the IL mail room. We keep things posted on a monthly basis so you can see what's going on. You can follow what's happening. You know, as much integration as we can have between the assisted living and independent living parts of the house we want. It's a good thing to integrate that. Boy, I spoke about this at the Residents Council. The resident art show was over the top. I mean, I am just, you know, so yeah. Give yourself and your artist friends a hand here. There are just some incredible works of art. It's just really something to see the talent we have. And you know, you don't know it until it is shared and you go, wow, I didn't know that person could do that. Well, they can. A lot of people can. And here are just some examples of pieces. I just thought it was interesting, this middle piece, this sculpture. I think this was done by one of our security officers. That, you know, so here you have somebody who you say, oh, well, a security officer, you don't think in terms of the creativity that anybody in any position here might have. And here's someone who is putting together some pretty impressive stuff, along with other great artwork by other residents. Juneteenth was a Horizon House holiday, and we had a little bit of a celebration on that. That was kind of fun. Now, this was really fun. Yeah. So I had the privilege of attending this event, and I got to tell you, it was over the top and outstanding, both in terms of Beth being just plain beautiful. The setting was fantastic. The people that she had doing the officiating, the woman, a good friend of hers from Nashville, was just really, really good. And my wife, having come from, you know, she was a UCC minister for 10 years and has she's like a critic. She said, wow, this is one of the best ones I've attended. So that's an endorsement. And it was over on Bainbridge. So the event, Susan was just asking, where was it? It was, you go across the Agate Pass Bridge, kind of on your way to Paulsbo, and you drop down to I think it's Kiona Lodge. And of course, that's a Native American site. And, you know, it has a lodge that goes back to the 1920s. The setting was just plain spectacular and everything about it was good. And, you know, we've all been to many weddings. And when you go to weddings where you look at the couple and you see the whole thing, you say, this is good. This is going to work. Okay. Questions that you might have for now? Yes, Joan. We need a skateboard.
Your favorite topic, the West Tower.
Oh,
We have had a number of performances in Anderson Hall that have been standing room only. And we talk about the overflow, but the overflow really isn't appropriate for a number of the events we've had here. So what is the capacity of a performance hall that's being proposed, we hope, in the West Tower?
So yes, there is a big part of the design of the West Tower is to make sure that we integrate the campus and that we have the amount of common space, both for meeting space and for event space. And the event space that is like a multi-purpose like we have here is more than double what we have here. So the capacity is going to be large. Now, we can never create a space large enough for the entire community to be in. So it will be bifurcated. There will be people here and there will be people at that new site. But it is going to be more than double this, and that's a good thing. So hopefully the combination of the two for the really big events. Otherwise, it's, you know, this venue for certain types of events and then the much larger one for the bigger ones. Yes. Well, it depends on how many people. So there are 202 units, okay, of which there will be some that will be Horizon House residents who will choose to move there. So that's not a net increase unless we fill where they left. And it depends on how many people come in as singles versus come in as couples. But you can add 202 onto roughly 450 with independent living and assisted living. So you're in that, you know, the comfortably 650-ish range. So it's a lot of people. Yeah. Other comments or questions?